You are listening to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast, a show by personal trainers for personal trainers. It's time to become a better trainer, get more clients, and change more lives. And now, here's your host, the head coach and founder of Fitness Mentors, Eddie Lester.
Hey guys, welcome to the Certified Personal Trainer Podcast. I'm your host, Eddie Lester, and today we are getting into all about the assessment process that you use as a personal trainer. And but before we get into that, I wanted to make a quick announcement. We launched basically the first edition or the first newsletter of our new modern personal trainer newsletter. This is basically our best attempt at helping personal trainers with really solid content relative to business tips, marketing tips, as well as even anything around basic, your skill sets, psychology of helping your clients. Basically, we are bringing you 4 to 5 tips every single week, and we're diving into these in this newsletter. And the first edition went out last Sunday, and the next one, at number 2, is coming out this upcoming Sunday. So if you haven't signed up for that newsletter, be sure that you do so by clicking the link in the show notes right here. Go ahead and pause this right now. Go down there, click that, sign up for that, because that is going to be basically, I've been getting amazing feedback. I've got tens of responses from people just really, truly enjoying the content. And that's something that we really strive, to do here at Fitness Mentors, is really help you with genuinely helpful content that brings a ton of value to what you do. So let's go ahead and talk about the assessment process. And we're going to specifically focus on the assessment process for the private personal trainer, the person that is, runs their own business and has a new consultation with a client. What does the assessment process look like? And a lot of this does transfer over into the online or virtual personal trainer assessment process too. But we really wanted to highlight that sort of independent trainer. Maybe you used to work at a gym, but now you're private. Let's talk about the specifics around what to include in the assessment process for you, the personal trainer. So let's go ahead and start with the primary objective of what is the assessment process for. So the assessment process has a few different goals. The first one is to establish a baseline, a scientific baseline of where the client is currently at, so that you can then progress them from that location towards their goals. That's the most basic reason why you do, we'll say, objective assessments that assess their body fat, their weight, their maybe circumference measurements. Those sort of things directly tell you exactly where someone is at so that you can progress them to where they want to be, or show a clear path on the timeline it takes to get there in that sense, as well as the steps needed, or we'll say micro goals to get towards a major goal. The second main emphasis of an assessment process is to truly determine the client's goals. Now, this is probably something that they will tell you is, I want to lose, 20 pounds, something simple like that. But truly determining the client's goal is way more than just that simple statement. So determining a client's goal is all about getting to know we'll say, reasoning behind why they want to achieve the goal, and then potentially the barriers that they have in achieving the goal on their own, as well as really getting into we'll say, behaviors that they currently do that have led them to be in the situation where they're at. You need to know all about the goal, because the only way that you can help them, we'll say, modify their behaviors to achieve that goal is through knowing basically the process by which they currently live, and then modify from there based on and then motivate them via the reasons that you truly get into. And I always give the example of, you may have a client that says, I want to lose 10 pounds because or 20 pounds because I want to look good in my bathing suit for summer. I want to, be beach ready or pool ready or river ready or lake ready, whatever it may be. But that is not a very motivating goal to be like, okay, I look good in the mirror. That's pretty cool. But really, what is their emotional goal? That might be something like, oh, well, this summer, my ex-boyfriend is coming back into town and I want to look as good as possible because I really am still in love with him. Okay, something like that is a completely different motivational factor than just looking good at the beach. Diving into the reasoning behind the goal is so important to do during the assessment process. And then, finally, we really want to get into, the last final goal of the assessment process is to build value and create the opportunity for a sale. And this is so important that we recognize exactly what our process is in the assessment process and make sure that it caters towards really helping the client recognize that they need what you have. And this is really called creating the sales opportunity. So with that in mind, let's talk about the start through finish assessment process. Okay, once again, we are thinking about these three goals kind of as we go through this. But when the client walks into the room, so this is we're setting the scene in the sense of this is probably the first time that someone is meeting with you to talk about achieving a health and fitness goal. You may have seen them around the gym, but now they've agreed to come in and we'll say take part in your analysis towards helping them achieve a goal. We can talk. We have hundreds and hundreds of our pieces of content and podcasts all about getting the client to this point, which is almost some of the most important elements of being a personal trainer is coercing them into taking the assessment or to joining you for an assessment. But this particular part is going to focus on you've been talking with them and you got them into a room or on a call to do the assessment process. Obviously, virtual trainers might be on a video call. Private personal trainers would be probably at the gym location or at their home or wherever they're planning on training. So you're also assessing the space if you are an in-person trainer because you want to know what they have so that you can create effective programs as well. That is a part of the assessment process too. So the person has walked into your gym location or you've walked into their home or they've come into your training facility, garage, whatever it may be as a private personal trainer. And the sale starts from the moment that they pull up to your location. Okay, so when we think of the sale, make sure that everything is in order as far as your assessment room, the location that they've pulled up to, make sure it's as convenient as possible for them to find parking, and explain the whole process. That's when the sale really starts, is all the perceptions and thoughts going on in the client's mind as they are heading to pull up to your location. So make sure you make that as easy as possible. That's kind of just step one relating to the sale. But then they're going to walk in, you're going to smile, welcome them in, probably meet them at the front door or meet them at an easy location to aid them into getting to where you need them to be. Then the assessment process starts. You get them into the room and boom. Okay, the most important thing in my opinion, is really developing the relationship. So from the moment that you see them, you're smiling and you're asking them questions about everything that they're where they came from, what they're doing, and just the simplest questions to kind of small talk. And then you get into the room and the real questions start to come out. And these questions can go on throughout the entire assessment process when you're doing your subjective assessments, when you're doing your objective assessments. We'll say, communication and question asking can always go on because really it's not too often that a human in this day and age really get asked a lot of questions. So asking questions and being genuinely interested and responding to these questions creates a very positive sales environment because people really do like to talk about themselves, or most people do like to talk about themselves and answer all these questions that you have. So do a good job of that from the start throughout the entire thing. But first off, you're going to start by getting to know them. So you have your subjective assessment form. This may include the simplest things like, what do you do for work? Talk to me about your family. What's your family life like? And then you obviously get into your health history questionnaire. Do you have any medical issues that I should know about? Any diseases, different things like that. Whatever the subjective assessment form that it is that you have, you need to go through step by step, asking them questions all about the relevant information to training that you need. Remember, you need to make your own subjective assessment form because it's whatever you need to create an effective and safe program. But at the same time, you're going to be asking them questions, follow-up questions on each one of these subjective questions. While that's going on, you're taking notes. You write down anything that's very specific to your needs, okay? And this can be anything that you're really looking for, because regarding the sales process, you're looking for the bits of information that might point to pain that they have, or might point to something that some reasoning behind why they're uncomfortable in the current situation and why they might want to change. Because that's what you're really looking to sell towards, is their needs and their emotional desires. So keep that in mind. Good. Once your subjective assessments are done, it is time to potentially ask a few power questions at the end of these subjective assessments. If you don't know what power questions are, they're basically just questions that are leading the person to dive deeper into their reasoning behind why they want to achieve a goal, or their current situation that might allow them to train with you or not, depending on how they answer the questions. If you do have we'll say our courses, we have an entire section on tens and tens of power questions that really, we'll say, merge someone or push someone towards a sale, or make the sales environment more, we'll say, conducive to the sale. All right, so a few power questions go. Then it's time to do the objective assessments. So once again, objective assessments, this is where you are going to get their height, their weight, their blood pressure to make sure they're safe. Then, maybe their body fat percentage, circumference measurements. But here's the deal. When it comes to choosing specific assessments, you need to be very aware of what their goals are. So on your subjective assessment form, you've probably asked them all about their goals, but you dove deep into understanding their goals on a deeper level. If they have goals that are directly pertaining to, we'll say, something like endurance exercise. Like, I want to be able to run a 10K faster. Or I just want to be able to run a 10K. So exercise endurance is where you're going to want to cater the objective assessments to. So something like, and if it's purely towards helping them achieve more endurance, and they have no goals around body fat loss, they have no goals around muscle gain, they have no goals around, we'll say, appearance, then you don't need to do a lot of the objective assessments that, we'll say, might be needed for those types of goals. If their main goal is endurance, you can jump straight to the elements of endurance that you can test, like a rapport walk test, or a specific YMCA 3-minute step test, or a cycle test that tests for endurance. Basically, you're going to want to utilize your toolbox of assessments to only test what they're most interested in and what they care about. Do not, and I repeat, do not waste time doing assessments that have they pertain to, or they do not pertain to the client's goals. This is one mistake that I see personal trainers make all the time, is they go through every assessment that is on their list, as opposed to listening carefully about what the goals are of the client, and then directly assessing those particular characteristics that, or traits that will allow them to be tracked, in the sense of only tracking specific traits that are necessary for their goal. That will save you a ton of time and make you look extremely professional and sell to exactly what they tell you they want. This becomes so important in the sales process, because they see that you listened and you basically gave them the assessments that are only pertaining to their goals. They don't care about all the other stuff that you can do. And the exact same thing occurs if somebody wants to gain muscle. Do you need to go through a we'll say VO2 max test, or estimated VO2 max test, like the rapport walk test? No. If they just want to lose weight, do you need to do a strength test, or maybe a VO2 max test? Maybe not. If they do say they have endurance goals, though, then maybe that is a great assessment to do. So the way that you choose your assessments is based on their goals. And you are going to chop up your whole objective assessment list and just highlight the goals, the assessments that relate to the goals that they have. That's something that's so important. And I want you guys to directly take a note of that, because your goal is not to overdo it with professionalism and build value because you know how to do all these assessments. It's about pertaining to their needs, their values, their emotions, and their goals. Okay. So be very specific around the objective assessments that you choose. And when I say objective assessments, these are the tests that you perform. Okay. If someone is a basketball player, they're going to need to do a vertical jump height test. They might want to do some strength tests. But do they need to worry about body fat too much? Not unless they say they need to cut 10 pounds. Do they need to worry about muscle gain directly? Maybe, depending on their goals. If they're looking to gain muscle to be bigger for senior year, maybe, something like that. What you need to do is you need to only pick the ones that directly pertain to their goals, because that's going to save you time and give you more time to get into a fun, small workout that might happen at the end. I will tell you, I made mistakes with this early on. My assessment process often did not include a fun workout at the end that directly pertains to their goals. When people are coming to you, the personal trainer, they often want to get a quick workout in, regardless of when in the process that, or where in the process that they are. If they're just coming in to get a quick assessment, you still want to kick their butt a little bit with a workout, because it will show them that you know so much about their goals and how to achieve them that builds a lot of value. This will also save you time. The gym that I first worked at encouraged us to do 2 assessments, or two times of assessment. Basically, you assess them on one day, then you have them come back another day and do a workout based on those assessments. I highly recommend bringing those together and doing it all, trying to fit it all within, a 1 hour time slot. Sometimes 1 hour and 15 minutes, 1.5 hours might happen, because if you really dive deep into their goals and talking, that might happen. But do it all then, sell them then. Getting someone to come back is not always going to be easy, so getting them excited about working and then giving them a fun workout immediately is something that I typically recommend and will allow you to build more value in a shorter amount of time. All right, so based on the assessment process, what objective assessments did you choose? Directly relate those objective assessments to their goals, to their emotions, to their values, to their thoughts about themselves. If you're noticing that there's a specific goal around becoming more energetic for or just gaining energy because they're tired at work every day at 2 p.m., 3 p.m. and they just can't continue because they're so tired, talk to them about how this type of workouts directly relate to building your endurance and giving you more energy throughout the day, and so on and so forth. When you do an effective subjective assessment around their wants and needs and dive deep into them and find out what's truly driving them, that's where you slam them with the information and notes that you took relating to the objective assessments, and you tie it all together. Very, we'll say, important for letting them know that you're listening and letting them know that you really truly care about helping them achieve their goals. All right. So now that you've done the, we'll say, objective assessments and you've picked your right ones, it's time to quickly review those. And you can do this after every single assessment. Show them where they're at relative to their goals. Or if it's something about gaining strength and they did 10 push-ups, tell them that, most people their age that are in the top 10% of people can do 25 push-ups. And their goal is if their goal is to gain strength and muscle, they should be doing 25 push-ups. If you work with me for 1 month, we will be able to do 25 push-ups, but our goal is 40 push-ups, whatever it may be. Directly relate their goals to the assessments that you did and analyze them in a way that shows them that you have the ability to track specific metrics that lead to their specific goal achievement. That is on the science side, that is basic, but then there is a sales element to that directly relating those particular metrics to their emotions and to their deeper desires around why they want to achieve that goal. That's where you're truly solving their problem. Okay, and one of the biggest things, as I talked about earlier in the subjective assessments, is dig deep into finding the pain around why they feel that they need to achieve this goal. That person that might want to look bikini ready because their boyfriend's coming back into town in 3 months for summer, that is something that is, the way that they feel around that is massive and monumental. Because if they're truly in 3 months down the road, seeing themselves in the best shape they've been in a long time or in their life, standing in front of that person, getting that compliment, that is something that's going to drive someone to work with you. Because if they see that is that you truly get them and get their goal and why they want to achieve it, that's a motivational factor that will get them to purchase from you. Okay, so the sales side, the assessment side, and the we'll say question asking side are all directly related. And as you analyze the metrics of the assessments that you did, you need to tie them to an emotional trigger and tie them to a physical trigger in the sense of how, the timeline in which they can utilize to achieve a specific goal on a science level. And that's really where, when you bring those sort of three things truly together, that's when someone's going to have a very tough time saying, no, I don't really want to work with you. Because you're truly going to get in there and recognize what they need, recognize why they need it and their emotions behind it, and then deliver it to them in a way that shows them scientifically how to do it, and then gets them excited and motivated to do it. And then that feeling that you're selling at the end is extremely important. And then now we kind of get into the sales closing process. So you've analyzed their assessments with them and you're starting to talk to them, and then it's time to transition them into the sale. And we have an entire book or entire chapter in our education, specifically the online personal trainer certification, as well as the certified personal trainer certification, that directly go into the best ways to transition someone from this particular point towards the sale. If you wanted to pick up my book that I wrote specifically for this process and actually just for sales in general, all the way leading up from getting the clients into the session, executing the session, and then selling past that assessment section. That is Business and Sales, The Guide to Success as a Personal Trainer. We have an entire CEU course on it, but we also have a book that can be purchased on Amazon. Once again, that's Business and Sales, The Guide to Success as a Personal Trainer by moi, Eddie Lester. Definitely check that out. But just a few quick tips. When we think about the transition into the sale, if you've done all the hard work in the beginning, it should be pretty obvious that this person should be ready to say, you know what, I do want to achieve this goal. I feel really connected to it. It sounds like you understand what I want. You've shown me like a fun little workout around it. Now then it's basically time to ask them, how do you want to get started? What date do you want to get started? That's a simple way to move towards the close is, hey, when would you like to start on the path towards this goal? I'm open on Monday night at 5 p.m. or Tuesday or whatever day it is that you want to train, and start to transition the sale that way. Then they might ask about pricing and all that sort of stuff, which there's tens of ways that you can discuss that and get someone in there, which we talk about in our education. But one thing that I forgot to mention was the quick workout. Now, what are the goals of your client, and how can you deliver a fun workout in 10 to 15 minutes is typically all the time that you have left. How can you deliver a fun workout in that respect that directly relates to what they want to achieve? Let's say if it's endurance, getting them straight up on a workout that just drives endurance home, kicks their butt a little bit, makes them feel like, whoa, that was good and that was tough and I enjoyed that, depending obviously on the type of person that you're dealing with. That's something that I do feel is important. Now, does it have to happen? No, it does not have to happen as far as you giving that workout. You can close them without even doing a workout, but it's another added element that I feel is super important because it shows them the way that you work in an exercise session. And some people don't want to buy until they've kind of felt you out in an exercise session to know that you guys kind of align and click on a communication level, physical level, and energy level, all that sort of stuff. So once that workout's done and you've kicked their butt, you've shown them all the metrics around their goals, and you understand why, and you've tied the why to the need and the emotion around their why, and that's when it's really time to grab their credit card and run it. Now, we have other podcasts that talk about closing the sale. We have an entire book on closing that sale. We have all of our courses that talk about closing that sale. But the sales process, once again, started from when that person walked into your facility or gym or location. And then the sales process starts to, or actually never ends from there on out. To sell your first package, that sales process might end right when you get their credit card, but you're still selling their next package on the next time that you meet them. So the sale never stops. And this is something that's so important because it'll always keep you, we'll say, on point and ready to make sure that you always are making a great impression. And the moment that you start to slip in your impression and you care a little bit less about that impression, that's when the sale starts to, or the tension between you and the client starts to diminish. And if the client starts to see you slacking a little bit on those sort of things, it might create a bit of a disconnect and might actually lead to that person no longer training with you. So giving your best effort every single time that you're with that client is needed and will lead to a successful training business. All right, guys, that is it for the assessments process. And hope you guys gain some good insight onto your assessment process and what you're currently doing. Hopefully it changed your mind a little bit around potentially things that you might be doing that might not be as effective, and really allowed you to analyze your process. Once again, definitely sign up for the Modern Personal Trainer newsletter. Tons of tips that are directly related to what the modern personal trainer needs to be good at in order to succeed as we move into the future. Also have a huge announcement coming up in the next week. So if you're not in our Discord, make sure that you are. I'll put that link down below too, because that is going to be where we make this announcement first, followed by a week or two later in our other channels. This is going to be a huge opportunity for personal trainers, and we want you to be a part of it, so make sure you join that Discord. We'll put that link down below. All right, guys, thanks so much for checking out the Certified Personal Trainer podcast. I'm blessed that you were able to join me and grateful that you are on this journey to help others achieve their health and fitness goals and change the world. All right, guys, I will see you next time. Have a good one.
As always, thanks for listening to the Certified Personal Trainer podcast. You can learn more about fitness mentors at fitnessmentors.com. Be sure to share this podcast on social media. And remember, we are here to help you succeed.